Hello. I'm gonna try and smash through my September favourites because I am an hour away from Yom Kippur starting and I still need to shower and change and sort myself out, so we're just gonna do our best. Also, I'm doing it on my phone today. I took pictures of it so that we don't have the computer background noise. Hopefully that makes a difference. If you're new here, sorry, hi, my name's Raquel and I wrap up every month with reviews of everything I have consumed and experienced. So I'm just going to talk through some movies, TV shows, books, theatre, whatever else that I have experienced this month. So first of all, a TV show that has been on the favourites for quite a while now, but I finally finished. It is The Office, the American version. I had been so resistant to watching it, and I don't know why. I enjoyed it. There were still bits about it, actually I do know why. There were still things about it I didn't love, but on the whole it was just a very easy watch and I enjoyed it. Next we've got 4 books. First of all, Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro, which was intriguing and did have me, you know, hooked on for most of it, but in the end, it wasn't a satisfying ending, so it dropped the star rating for me down by quite a bit, but I will go through star ratings and stuff like that in my end of year story graph wrap up, and also this book is part of another series that I'm filming, so I'll go into more depth then. Next, I read a non-fiction called Space by Tim Peake, which was interesting, but I couldn't completely focus on it. It was an audiobook, and there were bits about it that were so interesting. I've spoken about this before. I love astronomy and sort of hearing stories and seeing stuff like that, but I felt like I just wasn't fully concentrated on the audiobook, and therefore I can't be completely confident in my review of this book. But the bits I heard and comprehended, I did enjoy. And I liked the way it was framed and the way it was written, I think. Next, Funny Story by Emily Henry. I remember liking this book and finding it a really easy read, which was good. And it was an audiobook again. Oh, I did like it. It was very sweet. I'm trying to remember now what it was. It was just a sweet, cozy read. Quite predictable, but enjoyable. And then finally, a book I finished yesterday, Kafka on the Shore by Haruki Murakami. This one is also part of that other book video, so we will talk about it in much more depth then. I spent a lot of this book confused and curious and hoping it was all going to make sense, and I got to the end of the book and it still did not make sense. It was a very strange book, and you have to be a certain kind of person to enjoy it, I think. But it was easy to read. Like, it didn't feel like an effort to read in the sense of, like, actually reading wasn't hard, it was an ebook. But comprehending it and understanding what was going on and why, yeah, it's just left me a little bit baffled. But again, we'll talk about it in much more detail a bit later on. Next, we've got plays, and I've just got one which I also only saw last night, and it is The New Importance of Being Earnest, and it was phenomenal, fantastic, incredible. Everything about it was so enjoyable. The cast were amazing. The 2 female leads definitely were the standouts, but also Ollie Alexander as Algernon and I don't know the name, but the maid, Lane, and I think it's Merryman. It was one person who played those 2 roles. Also absolute scene stealer. Just an incredible show. Would recommend. I vlogged the whole experience of me seeing that because that itself was an experience. So I'll link that, well, it won't be out yet, but when it's ready, it'll be linked. And then I've also got one musical. I went to see Brigadoon, Brigadoon. That's the only bit of the song of the musical I know, or I knew before I went to see it. I saw this at Regent's Park. Again, I have documented this in a vlog. I did really enjoy this. It was a very cool setting. It was very beautifully done. The choreography was gorgeous. The singing was good too. The plot was strange, but overall I did enjoy it, so it was good. I will also be wrapping up all my theatre stuff at the end of the year, so stay tuned for that. I do that every year, well, for the last 2 years, but it brings me a lot of joy to look back at all the shows I've seen, and I think this year is a record year for me, so very exciting, but we've still got a few months. Next, I've got a pair of boots because my ones died and I was very sad and I needed these in a last minute scramble. So I got these for €15. They're already starting to fade and I literally only got them a couple of days ago, but I do like the shape and the colour and the look, and they were €15, so I liked that too. Then for travel, I've got 2, both in mainland Europe. Number 1, Scheveningen in Holland. If you don't know, I'm from Holland originally, and I'd never been to Scheveningen, or at least not that I could remember. And I had a great time. My father and I went for a day out, sort of combining Den Haag and Scheveningen, and it was great. We had a really fabulous day. Again, that's going to be vlogged, but it will be a while before that comes out. But yeah, very enjoyable. And the second one is kind of a two-in-one. It's Antwerp/Belgium. I have family in Belgium and we used to go all the time, but I think the last time I went might have been like 2014 or something, or I don't know, I think it was about 10 years ago. And I went back very sort of last minute because I had an audition, but I very much enjoyed it. I mean, I love Holland as well, and it's just like the flat country and the houses and the style, like it's just such a gorgeous place. And I stopped off in Antwerp, and that was pretty as well. So yeah, overall just really enjoyed that area. And I feel like Belgium's often overlooked as a travel destination, but I do think there's a reasonable amount there. Like I think you could go for a long weekend or something and have a great time. Finally, I've got two others. Number one is the big half marathon, which I ran. Crazy. Can't say it was a favorite necessarily, but it was a fantastic experience. I'm so glad I did it, and it's definitely one for the memory books. And then number two is an app, which actually has kicked me out at the moment. So we need to get that sorted, but it's Vinted. I'm finally going to try and declutter some stuff. I'm gonna film a whole separate video about the decluttering process, but I have a really tough time of letting go of items, which is why I've never decluttered before. But if I know that I can make some money off it, even if it's, you know, a couple of pounds here and there, that already feels less hard to me in terms of separating from it. So if I've got my Vinted back up and running, I'll leave it linked below because I think anyone can purchase my clothes, and some are too big and some are too small, so all in good quality, I would say. So that's it. Just to finish off, my song of the month is Toveren. That was dramatic. Toveren by K3. I've actually filmed a cover of it, which you may have already seen, but I think it was in September they announced that they were going to bring back an old K3 show. They were going to revive it with the new K3, and that show is called Door een Roosje, which is Sleeping Beauty, but one of the key, like the single from that musical is Toveren, and I've just been listening to it a lot and it's been in my head a lot, and it's been good fun. I'm sorry this has been so rushed, but I really do need to go and shower and get ready on time, so I am going to leave you here. There will be obviously my 1 second a day, which will follow suit very shortly, and I will see you all soon in another video. Thank you for watching, and if you have any favorites or recommendations, or if you've seen or heard of any of the things I'm talking about, feel free to comment down below and we can have a little bit of a discussion. Thanks so much, bye!